That is chanting in the streets of Myrtle Beach on justice for Mica. That's Mica's voice blaring through the streets in front of Solid Rock Ministries. John Paul Miller, pastime pastor of this congregation, was said to have been in church on that day. We say pastime because he hasn't been back to work, working as a pastor for over a month since her death. There's barely been a church left to preach a sermon to. It's falling apart. The receipts don't lie. People see how this guy treated his wife during their marriage. At this point, only foolish people would take coaching of any sort from John Paul Miller, or actually anyone within a hemisphere of John Paul Miller. He said for a long time that Mica Miller, his wife, was mentally sick. It was quickly ruled a suicide the day that she died because the call that she made to authorities saying, "It's over, here's my location, I'm ending my life," and proof of her purchase of a weapon within hours of her fate. And the forewarning John Paul Miller gave 48 people and counting, according to him, within the final 3 months of her life. He said she needs medication and don't let her get near a weapon. Just the same, he had been placing her in mental hospitals and had been talking about it with his congregation for years. But the source itself is not credible. John Paul Miller, a pathological liar, an addict, unfaithful, abusive, distorted. It doesn't make sense at all because history has repeated itself. Allison Williams just filed an affidavit exposing all that we covered in the past content. A predator, a fraud, it's all there. Mica wanted out. She took a trip to Africa with other members of the church. Her heart still very fragile at the time back in October of 2023, and she was reminded on that trip that God hates divorce. So, she canceled the divorce proceedings she filed before she took that trip. Thought it was her calling to be back with her husband, a man who would hook up with men in front of her, talk down to her and punish her, and get her to take testosterone for his own pleasurable needs. Even though he had promised so many people in his life that he would change his ways. He didn't. He just carried Mica down into it. And it was very dark. Mica proceeded again to get out of the marriage. Suddenly, Mica died. The crime scene made no sense. Law enforcement cut corners and trusted that it was just a suicide, and they cremated her urgently at her husband John Paul Miller's request. Is it reasonable for us to believe that he kicked his wife around and broke her spirit for years, and then suddenly believe that when she leaves him, tragically ends up dead? Is he right when he tells us that he too wants justice for Mica? Where do we stand with this case? Well, there's been new information. Guys, JP is Spider-Man. I know. How can we not trust him after this? He's the town hero. Always has been and always will be. In his head. Imagine if all it took was wearing a costume to change our mind on this whole thing. Just remember that this is the guy that was that guy a few days back. Okay. So if he acted all normal on the recent interview being this guy, like, ooh, my tats, I'm such a tough guy, you know, grabbing his neck so we could see his tattoos, like, who are all these people? Okay, so if he's that guy, well, I don't know, let's see what excuses he's using for coming home in a Spider-Man costume. I'm pretty sure this is part of his personality disorder, just my personal opinion, or that he wants to look and feel tough and, you know, just feel that adrenaline running through his body as he exits his car and walks through the door of his house that the church owns. He might act like he's being a good dad, or, you know, he went to pick up a side job because, I don't know, like he's trying to make some more money to pay for his new child support allegations that Allison claims, or, you know, maybe he's just trying to make someone's day, you know, some child's day, something to do with the church. Let's just see what excuses he has. I'm stumped. I need to go to school for this one. I can't even pretend to understand what is going on here. Okay, credit owed where credit is due. And some of this credit goes to Magnolia on Twitter. She put out some inside information about some more of these mind games that JP plays. And they're all bad. They're all abusive, toxic, hurtful. I mean, it makes me crazy just reading it. So we have some more receipts and some more activity to uncover. First of all, news reported that Mica kept a journal. However, I was just listening to her sister come out on an interview today that I'm currently going through, and the sister claims journals. And it is confirmed that she knew that there was an investigation going on prior to her death. Tom Winslow of Winslow Law Firm and J.P. Miller are persons of interest by the FBI over issues surrounding monies collected for the African mission called Dare to Care. Dare to Care is affiliated with the missionary work that Mica had a huge heart to be a part of before her passing. This was her vision through the church. J.P. Miller told the church members that they needed to donate through the church to Dare to Care to help sponsor a child in Africa. Again, Mica Miller's vision. Sources estimate at least 12 grand was raised between February and March for this cause. As of today, Pastor Jumba in Africa has received none of the money raised. Seems fraudulent. Well, as legal proceedings between Mica and JP are happening at the time, JP did the most evil, unthinkable thing. I mean, for a lot of us, there was already so much of that going on, but this. So, what he does, he knows that Mica loves missionary work. Well, he decided to go ahead and get a missionary trip together last minute to go back out to Africa, which was supposed to be in April of this year. And Mica was not allowed to go. Most likely to take her dream away from her. To weaponize opportunity to get what she wanted the most, her dream to help people in Africa. For him to turn around, take that and say, you don't get to do that now. Play God, essentially. I control your life. I tell you what you're gonna do. And he let her know it too. Right before Mica died, in her knowing about this trip, he said, hey, Mica, I hope you're doing well. I'm ready to be done and move on and heal and find a first lady who won't treat me the way you are. I really hope you do great things. I was willing to do anything. I even had the amazing desire to have kids since you're not on meds. And I want to apologize for the flowers and fruit. It was already paid for to last until your birthday. Feel free to give it all away. I sent that to you before I found out all the things that I have recently found out about you and what you've done. And you disgust me. So please, let's meet soon and be divorced and let this nightmare be over for me. I'm enjoying all the Africa missions, and Pastor Jumba and all the pastors' wives are so excited for what we are doing. We expect 120 kids our first semester. I have about 10 to 20 people going this time, including Kristen and Tom Winslow, Becca and Jonathan, etc. This is the guy that came out to us just a few days ago and said, well, I told everyone she needed meds. I was the only one who cared. He just told us that publicly. That's his side in what he wants us to see. I'm the good guy. I really cared. Well, here's the other side. Man, we could have had kids now that you're off your meds, but nope, I'm gonna get someone who's not you. Oh, P.S., we're going to Africa. Without you. So let's take a time machine back to that Africa trip that she loved and had a blast and felt so convicted in her heart that this is what she wanted to do with her life. Let's take a trip back there. This is October of 2023, okay? Back then, she takes a trip with the congregation, said that she loved it, she was very happy, very fulfilled, but right before that trip in one of my content videos I just released, I mentioned that she had just filed for divorce and she had sent that text to Charlotte and said, I finally did it, this is happening, and then she still took the trip. Well, while she was on that trip, he did the following. JP was texting 5 or 6 different people on the trip 30 to 40 times a day, begging them to convince Mica to come back. JP offered money and gifts to the people who were there with her on the trip if they could convince her to drop the divorce. They succeeded, especially Dr. Randall. He persuaded Mica to believe that she had not yet exhausted all avenues to save her marriage. At the end of the trip, when the mission group landed back in Myrtle Beach Airport, JP was there waiting. After Mica came down the escalator, JP put her ring back on her finger. They went home, And that was that. Friends on the trip had no idea of the abuse that Mica was suffering. The trip was planned for April 21st to 28th, and Mica was supposed to be going initially. That is, until she received a letter from Dr. Randall informing her that she would not be going with the group. Yes, that's right. JP set up the trip just to take it away from her. On Sunday, April 21st, Mica met the mission group at the airport to see them off and give them some of her possessions to gift the people she wouldn't get to see in Africa. She gave Pastor Jumba a special Bible and his wife a pair of her shoes. She also gave t-shirts to others. During the week, the others knew that Mica was disappointed to not be going with them on the trip and worried that their online posts may upset her, but Mica assured them that she enjoyed seeing them. And this is where JP comes through, and he does his black magic shit, and he tells these people, don't include her. Trust me, I'll explain later. Hey team, JP says, please listen very closely. Do not in any way, shape, or form send Mica, in caps, Mica, any pictures or any correspondence at all. Not in any way. I can explain why in person later. Please trust me on this. Nothing goes to her about anything concerning Africa or Solid Rock. Thank you. What did he tell these people to get them convinced that withholding all the good works of the Lord, that would be a good idea? Remember, this guy raised thousands for this cause. Money from the congregation. This is supposed to feed children and build lives, and he's holding back information on what his church is doing just to tease Mica. What in the heck did he tell these people? She even did nothing but excellent deeds for them and encouraged them to be happy and doing something wonderful. Ever have that happen to you? I know I have. Showing integrity and then you still come up the rotten apple in conversation, that's the worst. The betrayal is super infuriating. It's crushing. It makes you not want to do anything for anyone after that. It really does, but you have to rise above it somehow. You know, you still have to collect yourself, and you still have to be a good person, and you have to carry on. Against all odds. Never let anyone take you down and mock your good deeds. It's a thing. Separate away from that. It's toxic, and it's not the truth. And she knew that. Mica felt that way too. She felt excluded and hurt and bullied out of the people that she trusted, out there living her dream. Okay, she did nothing to these people. Now, some people really loved her and helped her in her last few months leading to her death. She was on her way. She was strong, man. And she told these people that she was wanting to fulfill that dream. And she still expressed to people. She still carried on. She was getting away from that toxicity, right? Like what I'm saying. And she told these people that she still wanted to fulfill this dream. Like she still had it, you know? He hadn't taken it from her yet. He wasn't going to, bottom line. But JP, he had a mission. He wanted to stop her. And my fear is that he knew he wasn't going to be able to do that. My fear is that he took it a step further and he did something far worse than we can imagine to do something about that. My fear is that he was 15 steps ahead of us all back when he started telling people, keep her on her meds and get her away from weapons. That he's like this. He's dangerous. That he was already ahead of us 2 years ago when he started telling us that she was sick. He had these people exclude her. He said, I'll explain later. Just trust me. On the way back from Africa, on April 28th, the mission group was informed that Mica had committed suicide the night before. This is the news they came home to. Well, what's there to talk about? He said it for 2 years, right? He told 48 people that she needed meds. He focused on that alone because he knew she was coming off. He told her she messed up and that the only thing that she did right was coming off her meds. That was a loophole. To say, I would have had kids with you because you're off meds. But look at you, Mica. Look at all the mess you've caused. So nope, you don't get children with me. Not now. And remember that necklace that Justin from TikTok was asking about? That necklace that came from a ring that he got designed for her? Because in a weird way, he actually belittled her. He's like, well, when she sees something, she just jumps on it, you know? And I was the only one that did what she wanted when she wanted it. You know, that's kind of the energy I got from that. But anyway, her sisters are saying that he only wears that necklace as a last gotcha kind of jab. Because it's not real. He's like, I just want to feel close to her. It's not real. Well, he wasn't close to her. Allie knew that. His kids knew that. Let's listen to a voicemail from Mica to Allie. Take a listen.
Hey, Allie, it's Mica. This is my new number. Please don't give it to anybody, but I just wanted to see who your counselor was to help you, walk through forgiveness and stuff and keep your heart right through all the mess, because I don't want to lose myself in this, and I don't want to pursue anything out of anger or vengeance or anything like that. I just want to be free and have peace and keep my soul right. So if you just text me a name, even of a good counselor, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
In closing, I'll share this from the same resource. Mica being open about the testosterone shots was wrecking her voice. She expressed this on the Africa trip back in October of 2023 because people loved to hear her sing, and she was asked to sing, but her voice was wrecked. But there she was in Africa, living her dream, and she sang for these children and their families.
You are awesome in this place, mighty God. One more time. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. You are awesome in this place, our Father. You are worthy of all praise, and you are sweet. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. You are awesome in this place, mighty God. Somebody give a hand clap of praise.
I'm hitting a point in this case where it's hard not to read this stuff and choke up. I just don't get it. I don't know how these people say that they didn't know that she wasn't going through abuse. I think she had a gift, you guys. I think she was a really good person. June 5th, court. That's a big deal. I'm going to leave a statement as we close out.
And it's so sad to even know this. Mica had already appointed our sister Sierra over her email, her passwords to it, her Facebook account. Mica had been keeping track of all of her abuse, wrote every affidavit that someone has given her or their testimony against what they've seen. For the lawyer, she had a huge binder already prepared. She had all kinds of journals. She was anticipating something bad happening to her, and she had told Sierra that. And that's why she said, if anything happens to me, she had told one of our family members that she reported John Paul to the IRS the week that she passed away. The church, or not John Paul, but the church. Well, the church is John Paul. All of the money is all intermingled. And it was said that he was moving around all his assets into his oldest son's name or his friends' names. So it didn't look like he had as much as he had while they were going through this divorce. So when all that was happening, she just started going to work. She did a lot of work for the lawyer she had, and that's what also doesn't make sense. She had just paid her lawyer that we have $5,000 3 days prior to her passing. Why would she do that? Why would she have, and that's actually donated money. Like someone from I guess it was someone from the church, I want to say, a really nice lady from the church who wanted her to get away from him so bad. She gave Mica $5,000 as the retainer fee for her lawyer the week that she had passed. So no one borrows money to just end their life. And also no one tells people for a long time now. No one tells people if there was ever a bullet in my head, it was John Paul, it wasn't me. She said those exact words to about 10 to 15 people.
I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling that this is going to lean in a good direction. We'll be doing a follow-up. We'll be doing a follow-up for sure. I just don't know what JP's gonna pull. I mean, I have an idea of how he operates, but I don't think like him, so I really couldn't tell you what to expect. But just remember, these people, they're ahead. I mean, mark my words, he's got a whole trap going on. I'm eager to see what that is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your time in following this case. I promise we're gonna get to some other cases here shortly. However, I just feel this calling in my heart right now to continue covering Mica's story. This is a fabulous case to bring awareness and honor to someone as awesome as Mica was. Thank you guys again. I will be seeing you next time. I'm Chelsea J. Be blessed.